Okay, here we are. We're back at Marston Moor, the second photograph. If you've not seen the first one, go back and have a look at it. The spirits, ghosts, husks and shells still linger on the battlefield at Marston Moor. And this is again just a picture of a hedgerow. But it really is an eye-opener when you see what this picture hides from those who, I suppose, can only look but are unable to see. There's so much. There's a cavalier right in the middle. There's a roundhead in the middle. You can see his lobster pot helmet just to the right of the cursor there. And you can stop this and go back at any point, of course. This picture is absolutely crammed full of the spirits and the husks and shells of those that fought on that July day in 1644. 4,000 royalists, 1,500. 4,000 dead, 1,500 taken prisoner. Somewhere around about 300 parliamentarians were killed, and for the most part they were buried. Well, in fact, in this field that we're looking at across the other side, in a mass grave. There is an awful lot of spirits in all shapes and sizes, as I explained before, wearing different hats, because there was all kinds of different hats that they wore on the day, these black floppy hats and these woolen knitted, handmade knitted hats that were made by wives and girlfriends and the local women, like beanie hats. And of course some wore armour, so you'll see some of them wearing armour and helmets. Just look at them standing. You can see them standing there, some with their arms behind their backs, some in conversation, some looking straight forward, some looking to the left and right. If you're not watching this in high definition, watch it in high definition. See, we don't really go very far upon the death of the physical body. It's one of the biggest con tricks ever played on humanity. It's one of the biggest lies. People talk about the flat earth and the faked moon landings and all these kind of things, and but this really is the biggest con job of all, where we are told that nothing exists beyond the death of the physical body. Simply not true. An etheric double lives on. Your consciousness, your understanding, your memory, your loves and hates, your memories, all continue on. I've been visiting this battlefield for a long time, and from a mediumistic point of view, from a clairvoyant point of view, it's a very, very busy place. A very busy place. And if you are pretty new at it, you will feel overwhelmed, sometimes sick in the stomach. I used to feel sick in the stomach. I don't anymore. I've kind of got used to it. All these people, these cavaliers and parliamentarians and the like, have, I think, got so used to me turning up there and talking to them that they've accepted me, and as you can see, come out in force. Now, of course, you know, people are not going to believe it. You're going to get a lot of people that are not going to believe it. They're going to think this is just shapes, dark bits, light bits, dots, etc. But it's about knowing what you're looking for, and it helps, by the way, if you squint slightly, like a bit like those magic pictures you used to get, where you have to look at them in a certain way to be able to see the picture hidden within the dots. Well, this is very similar to that. there are hundreds and hundreds of men in this photograph. And I wonder whether they are in the midst of some battle still. As I explained before, the local people cycling down the road here have seen soldiers sitting at the side of the road, hiding, cowering in the ditch, wounded, some being helped along, covered in blood and bandages, looking as real as if they were standing there in the flesh. This is the wonder of this existence, this reality that we know so little about. Here you'll see 3 people standing in armour, in breastplates. They look as though they're standing looking at a map over a table. And as is often the case with spirits, they are flesh-coloured. You can see the flesh-coloured faces, you can see their hats, you can see their shiny breastplates. It's not unusual at Marston Moor to see this, to see the cavaliers in their broad brim hat and their boots and their frills and their lace trimmings around the neck and the shoulders. And because they're this etheric form, they of course overlap, so you can find yourself looking at a group of spirits that are actually overlapping. They're not, of course, solid. You look in these trees and you can see the mustachioed figure there in the middle there, look where the cursor is. And if you look straight ahead, you can see these soldiers here standing, talking, one with his arms out to the other one, and just to the left, actually, I'm going to cut this picture out so you can see it, but you can see a man there dressed in white with a black or dark coloured band round the centre of his robes, looking much like a clergyman of some kind. This is something else that you see, by the way. Often in these pictures you will see a member of the clergy with a crucifix and so forth, praying, kneeling with soldiers and other people, civilians, not just here but elsewhere. And here you can see this man standing in white, and he's addressing a crowd of soldiers standing and kneeling in front of him. And it continues on. But of course the powers that be want us all to think that this life is all there is, and when the lights go out, that's it. And we're not to be held accountable at all at any time. It's a kind of do as thou wilt existence. And of course I don't myself attach any of this to any organised religion. The fact that the human condition continues on beyond the death of this physical, meaty, bony vehicle does not necessarily imply a god or any adherence to any religious order. And we have to be clear about that. And we can't explain any of this, but that doesn't mean it's not there. And when a man came through from the other side to a group of mediums, and they asked him, can you explain your space where you are? And he said, no, I can't. And it's not because he's not allowed to, it's because he couldn't explain it in such a way that those people present would understand it. We can't understand this. It's just way too complex for our wee brains and intellects. So what I'm doing now is I'm trying to cut this group of figures out so that you can see them a bit clearer. If we take away the surroundings, you'll see what I mean. But it's quite a difficult thing for me to do. I'm not very adept on these things. I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to computers. I've learned quite a lot. I can work paint shop and things like that, but I still struggle. So here I'm going to cut out this group of figures, some of them standing there with breastplates, armour on, and the figure in white is facing them all. So you've got a group of figures on the left, and the member of the clergy standing there in his white robes, talking to them, addressing them. There he is. And you can clearly see the men standing in front of him, all facing him. Who knows what they're doing? Singing, perhaps, praying. Perhaps he's wishing them well for the battle to come. We don't know how this all works. What I'll do now is I'll move along and I'll cut out the others that we said were standing there in armour, in the shiny breastplates. I do this just so you can see them a little bit clearer if we take away the rest of the background. Also, by the way, if you look down in the grass, in the crops there, you'll see figures standing in that as well. They're not just on, again, the hedge, they are on the ground, standing everywhere. It's just that they're much clearer to see with this dark background. So here are the figures that, and you can see them standing there in their armour, the breastplates, and they've got like a kind of map on what looks like a trestle table of some kind. And I'm just changing the contrast. I don't know whether I shall make a pig's ear of it or not. I'll probably end up changing it back, but you can see them standing at the back there looking over this piece of paper, this map on the table. And there's a line of them actually, there's 3 or 4 of them, and there's a man standing at the front, and I think there's one sitting at the front as well. So, doubt it not, folks, you know, do what you have to do whilst you're enjoying this life. And, you know, if you want to know what's important in this life, think about what you take with you to the next.